I've spent the last 10 years making music. And in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to share the biggest lessons I've learned that helped me turn my dream into a full-time job, and that also helped me work with some of the biggest artists in the world. Whether you're just starting out or you're just looking to level up, this is definitely going to be very valuable. To get you started with some crazy sounds, I got a surprise for you at the end of the video, so make sure to stick around until the end to really don't miss any sauce. Our first point, a lesson that I had to learn the hard way, was focus on one venture and build something that lasts. What that basically means is you need to build something for yourself, whether it be a type beat channel, a website where you're selling your stuff, content creation like your own channel, whether it be a label, whether it be like a production group, it doesn't really matter. It has to be something that you have ownership in and that you can build over a long period of time. Getting small amounts of money here and there from different people is always cool, but having one thing that is going to pay you out in the future and that you have ownership in is really going to be the key to making this work long term. When you're at the stage of picking what you want to build, just pick something that you like doing. That's the most important thing. It is not really viable to just like, let's say, make a type beat channel if you hate making type beats, you know? It has to be fun for you and you have to be obsessed with it. So if you like making dance tracks, then this might be a way for you to upload your music to Spotify, start building your artist profile. And that's something to focus on, build on, you know? But if you don't like making like full songs, you just like making beats, then it's probably not the best way to go into your artist profile yet. So at the end of the day, pick something that you like doing and then just build upon that. The next thing is something I see a lot of beginners fall in the trap of doing. That is looking for a manager. If you're looking for a manager that's gonna like get you placements, if you are looking for other people to like put your music out there, then you already lost. Because in 9 out of 10 cases, it's just gonna fail. As soon as you take responsibility of getting your music out there and start connecting with people, that's when it actually starts to happen. If you're looking for a manager that like handles your stuff, like the business side of things, that's all good and stuff, but first up, you need stuff to actually handle, right? So if you have no placements, you have no money coming in, you have no opportunities coming in, there's no need for a manager. At that point in your career, you need to double down and create opportunities for yourself. So down the line, you have somebody that manages those opportunities. So in the beginning, don't look for somebody to save you. You need to take responsibility and you need to put yourself out there and really get after it. You gotta go DM these artists, you gotta get your beats on YouTube, you gotta put your face out there, and that behavior is gonna snowball into opportunities. And as soon as those catch on and you get a lot of new stuff coming in, that's when a manager becomes very, very helpful. Next up is probably the most important part about the music industry. This tip right here is so basic, but it's the cornerstone of the music industry, and that's like collaboration. So if you're starting out or if you're trying to level up, you need to collaborate with like-minded people, and as soon as possible. With like-minded people, I mean not ATL Jacob, you know, if you're like 100 follower Instagram guy with no placements. I have built connections with people in random discords 4 or 5 years ago that still is giving me opportunities today. But in the beginning, it was obviously not about that. It was about finding people that you believe in, talented people that you just love working with. And over time, these people are gonna get bigger, you're gonna get bigger, and you're just gonna level up that way. At that point, you can start reaching out to bigger people and climb the ladder like that. Collaboration should still come naturally. You shouldn't go out there with the mindset, okay, I'm investing in him for 5 years and then he's gonna pay me. It should be like, okay, I like this guy, you know, let me just hit him up and see where this goes. Because you never know where it's gonna go. As a little example, I love the song Horizont from Ed Osaya back in the day, like 6 years ago or something. And I just checked out who the producer was. Yeah, I just posted in my story the song and tagged them. And of this story, the producer followed me. And fast forward like 4 or 5 years, I've got like this #1 album with that same artist that I posted the story of. And the producer turned out to become one of my closest friends. Unironically, he like lives down the street. And it just happened naturally, right? I love the song. I reached out. We connected. Over the years, we built a friendship. Through the friendship, we made music. The music got placed. And that got me that award. And this is how it should go, you know? You shouldn't go out there like text like everybody, oh, let's work. It should be more like a natural thing. You like somebody, you reach out. If something happens, that's cool. If not, that's okay, bro. Just keep being authentic. If you like stuff, reach out. That should be like a rule. So let's go more into the production side. The first tip on the production side is have the right sound selection. I used to sit here, pick a random preset and just tweak it for like 10 hours. Instead of looking for a different sound that needs less editing. I have a pretty easy rule of thumb for this. If I have to add 4 or more effects to a sound, then I'm looking for a different sound. There's obviously exceptions to this, and I'm talking more about sound designing right here. So if you have a sound and you're adding like chorus, flanger, distortion, and like 5 different other effects, and you're shaping the EQ, then it's probably not the right sound. And you're probably gonna find a better sound that fits better within the context of a beat, and it fits better mix-wise. You just have to spend some time looking for that sound. So the second production trick is gonna sound stupid simple, but it's definitely underutilized. And it's just listen. Consciously listen to your music without looking at the visuals. These days, you have so many like visuals that actually are gonna tell you exactly how it's gonna sound. But I feel like I used to rely on visuals way too much. You know, we rely on the grid. We rely on exactly seeing how much dB like the kick has. We rely too much on like seeing the reverb tail and the automations instead of actually just listening for it. So a habit that I hammered on was like looking away or closing your eyes when listening. Let's say I'm trying to see if I'm missing something in this part right here. What I would do is I would just like close my eyes. It's like the human nature is so like focused on visuals, and it's becoming more and more a thing in music. And obviously music is something like auditory. So make sure to consciously listen. It's definitely a great habit to get into. And it's like so obvious, right? But like I see like so many people in the studios, okay, I needed like 5 more dB, and they push in 5 more dB, you know, instead of just listening and seeing how much volume they actually need without like looking if it's clipping. And lastly, keeping it simple. If you're making songs, if you're making beats, if you're making melodies, just don't overdo it. We all know it. You're making like a beat and it just feels amazing, you know. It's like you feel like energized because like it's so good, bro. You're just vibing. Then you add like 10 things more, you start mixing it, and at the end you're sitting there like, and it's like a hollow shell of itself, you know. As soon as you feel that energizing feeling, or like this is so good, you know, then it's probably time to just call it a day, you know. Maybe do some little tweaks, but don't do anything major to change like the vibe. This is like a huge thing because I used to overproduce the hell out of everything. And the same goes for samples, for beats, for songs. If I go through my biggest songs, they're all maximum 3 elements. The Roddy Ricch song is a reversed synth sound, a piano, and a vocal. The YSL song I did is a guitar MIDI. That's it. No effects on there. Just one guitar MIDI. It got the feeling done, you know. The same with this right here, these songs on here. These are super simple. These are like 3 elements max, you know. So really keep it simple. Lastly, we get to the mental side or the creative side of the lessons I've learned. It's probably my favorite side to talk about because this is something like that I've struggled with a long time. The first one is outboard gear, synthesizers, pedals, different plugins. It's all just an extra. What really counts are your ideas and the way you execute those ideas. It's always nice, it always sounds cool to have like a Prophet right here and I go crazy on a Prophet and it looks so fancy and so cool. But the reality is, you don't need that. Is it something nice to play around with? Can it get you inspired? 100%. But what really counts is how you structure sounds. Like what chords you pick, what effects you pick, the melodies you play, you know? As an example, what I have are like 2 guitars, 1 bass, and 1 MIDI keyboard that I barely use. I sold all my gear. I don't even have monitors. I sold all my gear. Just because like it just felt unnecessary at some point. Chasing like after like 4,000 euro synths just didn't make sense to me. If you're like a synth geek and you love like the hardware stuff, then get them. But if you're just a bedroom producer, you don't have that much money, you don't need that shit. What you need is like already in here, you know? So that's like a heavy lesson I had to learn. So another thing I see a lot of people struggle with from beginner to intermediate is having like a beat block or making like a 1 beat a month. It's inconsistency. It is just like creating has to become a habit. Rick Rubin has a quote where like he says,
I would suggest that you write and record as much as you can all of the time and then think of it as a hobby. Just think my hobby is I'm going to write and record songs. And then there'll come a time through that process where you look back and go, I think this batch is ready to share with people.
That's like something I relate with so deeply. Because like sometimes you go fishing and you just, nothing bites. And the same with music, you know? Sometimes you just don't make good music. And that's okay. That's completely fine. That's completely normal. Like if you go to like Metro's PC and you go through all the beats, there's gonna be doo-doo in there, you know? And it's the same for everybody. The important thing is creating a habit. If you sit down whenever you have the time to make at least 1 beat, 1 song, 1 idea, then at some point you're gonna hit a good one. Turning your brain enough, not thinking about, okay, this is gonna sound like this is gonna sound like this. You just sit down, whatever comes out of that PC or out of that guitar, out of that DAW, we take that. Doesn't matter if it has to be good. It doesn't matter if it's like 3 bars, if it's just an idea. It doesn't matter. It's just about sitting down and fishing a little bit, you know, and trying to see if you can come up with something. So you don't think about how is this going to be perceived by the outside world. No, it's just about sitting down, making something and not judging it while you make it. This is definitely something I did for a long time, which is like the best thing I ever did. So these are like the biggest lessons I have learned so far. There are obviously tons more small lessons, small tricks and small secrets, but these are like the biggest ones that impacted my career or my like life in general the most. So like I said in the beginning of the video, I have a huge surprise for you guys, and it's a ton of free sounds. We have the Genesis free pack right here that you can download for free in the descriptions. It comes with a ton of sounds, a ton of high quality drum sounds, samples, everything to get you inspired. I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this. You can check it out in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.